There's plenty of talk in and around International Women's Day, but remember there's that whole conversation about what is a woman. Two people that are absolutely clear in their definition of it is none other than our mate Kath Deves, of course, our Sky News contributor, and a lady who has got plenty of people talking in the UK, but she'll be doing so here in Australia, is none other than Kellie-Jay Keen. Lovely to see you.
Thanks so much.
So, you are in the middle of this vortex right now, right, where you're about to go around the country, set up a microphone and let women speak, all right? But this is how you were introduced to people in one of those cities. I want to play a little bit of how Channel 7 described you, and then we'll row back from there. Have a look at this.
Controversial women's rights activist is on her way to South Australia despite an 11th hour bid to ban her from our shores.
Her views on transgender issues have sparked anger here in Adelaide, where a protest will be held under the watchful eye of police.
She's loud, proud and hugely divisive. This is Kellie-Jay Keen, but she goes by the name Posie Parker. A self-proclaimed women's rights campaigner, she's staunchly anti-transgender.
Transitioning children is abuse. The Green Party called us called women like me non-trans women. I mean, off.
Now,
my best work.
This is it. So they've set up this perception of what you are, and I know it's ridiculous to ask, but I'm going to do it as a way of introducing you to people. What do you actually believe in? What is the actual project that you're part of?
I actually believe in the material reality of being a woman, which is an adult human female, and I believe in women's spaces for myself and my daughter and all women and girls. And I don't believe you can change sex, so that means that a woman-only space is literally for women only. That's kind of it.
And then what you do is you set up literally a moment in a public square, not in a hidden venue, not in a buy tickets, but a turn up and support.
Yeah.
And what do you offer people?
The chance to speak. So over the last few years, so I've been doing this since 2015, and I've just watched the ability of women to be able to speak in the modern public square, which is social media, just diminish. We get banned. I'm banned from so many places. I won't list them. It would be the whole show. But, you know, Twitter, 4.5 years I was banned. And so what we wanted to do was actually bring back the public square back into the public square and say to women who feel gaslit by the state, who feel silenced by work, by family, by colleagues, by everywhere. You know, this whole town, city is filled with pride flags at the moment. And I think that it was just really important that women get that chance to speak. So that's what we do with Let Women Speak. We let women speak.
So, Catherine, how important for you is it that you're able to have this event and this event going around the country where people will have the opportunity to do that?
Well, as you know, this debate has been really impoverished here in Australia. We all saw what happened in the election campaign last year. So to have ordinary women being able to come and express how they feel about this, many of these women have never even spoken publicly. And I think it's quite brilliant in that all it is letting women speak, and it makes our detractors so crazy. And I mean, one thing we do have to thank them for are the people who come and counter-protest, who send the death threats, who Channel 7 do these hideous hit jobs in the media, is they have put this issue on the table. They have risen, those of us who've been willing to stick our head above the parapet, to national prominence. So I'm actually quite grateful to my detractors for that, because the conversation is there now.
So if people want to work out, it's basically now to the end of the month, all the way around the country and also into New Zealand. If people want more information before we get on to, again, other issues about this, what's the website where people learn what date and where?
standingforwomen.com/events.
Because you do this in the public square, the counter-protest is what turns up.
Yeah.
Counter-protest is why the police turn up.
Yes.
Obviously, you know there are people who are going to disagree with you. That's fine. That's the way that free speech works.
Yeah.
But it seems like the way that this debate ends up getting flipped on its head from one where it's a debate into you are a heretic if you don't believe all of the latest definitions of this, that and the other, is the counter-protest.
Yeah.
So when they turn up in Australia, they're going to put on a show. It'll further create the focus that you've got in the media. But what do you want to say to the people who are going to inevitably turn up and scream all sorts of names in your direction while they may well have no idea what you actually believe?
Well, the word fascist gets used quite a lot in this debate, usually to the likes of Kath and I. But the truth is, the fascistic nature of the counter-protest to intimidate people into silence is, I think, sometimes just grab a mirror, have a look at your own behaviour, and if you can't counter an argument with a solid argument, then maybe you just don't have one.
Are we able to, in Australia, have any serious conversation about this stuff in the public square, certainly the digital public square? I mean, literally, I get a message today being reminded that the broadcasting code requires that any discussion on this issue must not provoke or perpetuate dislike, contempt or ridicule to a person or group of persons because of their sexual or gender preference. Having this conversation might be a reason for somebody to complain, but how do we have a conversation when those are the rules?
Well, we need to be having a conversation like here and now. We need to be having conversations, in the academy, on other television stations, on other media platforms, where people from opposing views aren't sitting there calling each other names. And let's face it, most of the name calling does come from the other side. I mean, the names that I have been called simply because I refuse to bend the knee to the idea that a man is a woman just because he says so, it's extraordinary. But, we've got to look at something like Q&A, where they are so biased on this issue, or ABC, that impartiality is just not a word that exists there. We need to start doing this, and we have to have these conversations. This issue is not going to go away. As we see the encroachment of sex self-ID into every state in Australia, bar New South Wales, probably likely to happen after the election. I mean, this is going to be perpetuating in our society. We're going to get more and more examples of women being harmed or excluded, etc. People are going to be more and more afraid to speak, and those of us who have a platform have to prosecute this argument, and we have to be brave enough to have the conversation.
Well, many times across your tour around the country, let's try and chat as you're going around the place, and don't judge us by the protesters, okay?
Okay, I won't do that.
All right, thank you. All right, all the information up on our socials as well. Plenty more to talk about here ahead of the late debate. 5 minutes away here on Sky News.